Hello everyone. Like today's live, we are doing a React interview question. So for preparing a React interview, we have to like cover some like comprehensive guide for this course. Okay, so this session. So let's start. React fundamentals, we have to understand like mastering the React fundamental is crucial in the front end interview because most companies relies on this React for building the modern web application, and the interview question often test your ability to reason about component state management and data flow. Okay, component so let's see what we are talking about. So in like for the React, so it dependent on the like they are testing about the components. Okay, components. Okay, components, state management. Okay, state management and the data flow. So a solid grasp of these core concept is important to step for achieving the any React interview question. Okay, the component statement and data flow is the one of the most important thing and the React fundamental thing that we have to focus. So like what is React and what are the main features? So like we have to answer we have to answer what is React. Okay, so what is and what are the features? Okay, what are the main features? So React is a JavaScript library. Okay, so it JavaScript library. So we can say that like React is a JavaScript library, and so React is a JavaScript library developed by a Facebook for creating a user interface, particularly in a single page application that we call as SPA, single page application. It enable the use of single page application. So it enable the use of reusable component that manage their own state. So like they enable the reusable component and that manage their own state, that manage their own state. Okay, and the key advantage included component driven architecture, optimize, update through their virtual DOM, a declarative approach for the better readability, a robust community backing. Okay, so like React have too much features. First of all, it is a JavaScript library. So it has a single page application things. It enables the reusable component have that manage their own state. And key advantage is that a component driven architecture and optimize when it updated the virtual DOM. Okay, so it increases the better readability. Okay, and robust community. So it have a high like it have a like high community. So like it have a like for the backing too much community, so which can back up this thing. Okay, so okay, this is the feature. And second question is that what is JSX? Okay, and how it's work. Okay, so we are thinking on what is JSX. Okay, and how it's work. How it's work. Okay, so like JSX is like short form of the JavaScript XML. So we can say that JSX stand for the JavaScript XML. Okay, so it is a syntax extension. It is a syntax extension for the JavaScript that allow you to write the HTML like code within the Java. Okay, so this to write allow to write the HTML HTML like code in JavaScript. Okay, and it make a building React component more easier. JSX get converted into first like this thing is converted. So JSX is converted into JavaScript function. Okay, JavaScript function call often by like we call as a Babel. Okay, for instance, if we write things that is things like div hello world. Okay, so div this one. So it is transformed into, so if we write this thing, so it get converted into this component. So this like JavaScripting that we write here, that is React. So it converted React dot create create element okay, element. Okay, that is div. So that is div. Okay, and what is inside, that is null. Inside div nothing is written, and then hello world is there. World is there. Okay, so these are the things that are inside the, if we write this line of code. So first of all, JSX is converted into the JavaScript function like that is. Well, if we write first of all, what is JSX? JSX is JavaScript XML which write the HTML like code inside the JavaScript. So this will become this. Okay, so if we write anything that is, okay, one second. So if we write anything related to this in like in like in HTML, so it converted into React. Okay, and then it is like printed hello world. Okay, then we move to the next thing, that is we cover the JSX part. So let's convert the concept of the virtual DOM in React. Okay, what is virtual DOM? So like, so let's see, uh, virtual DOM. Okay, React. So virtual DOM is like what we call. So let's see, DOM. So like this is like virtual DOM of the React. Virtual DOM is a simplified version of the actual DOM used by the React. So it allows the efficient UI update by comparing the virtual DOM with the real DOM. So and making only the necessary change through the processing and re reconciliation. Okay, so it is like simply a virtual DOM is simplified version of the actual DOM. So it allows the efficient UI update without with comparing the actual virtual DOM with the real DOM and making only necessary change through their process and all this thing. Okay, so again the question arises, how does the virtual DOM is working in the React, and what are the benefit and the downside? So virtual DOM in the React is like in memory representation of the real DOM. So like it is a real DOM and it is like virtual DOM. Okay, so it is like a replica of the real DOM. Okay, so like when, so it is what we call that, it will call as a in memory representation, in memory representation of the real DOM. And when the state of props changes, the React create a new virtual DOM tree. Okay, compare with the previous one using the diffing algorithm. So like comparison will be checking by the diffing algorithm. Okay, diffing algorithm and efficiently update one part of the real DOM data. So like this one is a real DOM. Okay, like like something like changes if you want to add like this is the change. What is thing the change? Okay, so like a virtual DOM is a like this is a virtual DOM. Okay, and this is the real DOM. Okay, so if any state changes in the React in the virtual DOM, okay, uh, changes, then we compare with the real DOM, and then using that diffing algorithm and efficiently update this part into the real part in real part that is changed. So benefit is that it improves the performance by reducing the costing of creating a DOM manipulation, okay, and make the UI update more declarative. And downside is that there are some overhead of diffing and extra memory uses and very dynamic UIs. So it may not always like outperform manual optimization thing. So we can say that DOM manipulation like help it, but not in that effective way. Okay. So next question is that what is the difference between React node, React element, and React component? So these three things that here we have like uh, React node, okay, React node, React element, okay, and the React component. So these three different things. So React node refer to any unit that can be rendered in a React. Okay. So if is a React node is anything that can be rendered in React. Okay. So anything that can be rendered in React. So this is known as a React node. Okay. So this thing is React node. Okay. And what is the React element? Such as like so what is a React node that can be that unit that can be rendered in the React, such as the element, string, number. So these are the like uh, element, okay, element, string, number, or null. So these things are be like a render in the React or null. So a React element is a immutable things. Okay, in this case React element is the immutable object that define what should be rendered. Okay, immutable object, okay, immutable object that define what should be rendered and typically created using JSX, or like that is like what we call at a example wise we can say that react dot create element, okay, element. So these things are the like React element. So these are immutable and the defined and what should be rendered typically created using the JSX. Okay, and the React component is either a function or the class that that return the React component. So we can say that this machine. So we can say that this is the React component. Okay, so React component either is a function, maybe like so maybe a function or like function or the class function that return the React element. So that return the React element. So this part is like function or class that return the so React element. Okay, and enabling the creation of reusable UI component. So we understand what is the React node. React node like refer a single unit that render in the like React element, string, number, all this thing. React element is that immutable object that can be defined what should be rendered in a React. Typically, what we write like React.create element, these are the React element. And when we are talking about the React component is like either we can say that it is function or class, okay, which enable the reusable UI component, and it return the React element, okay. And then move to the next question, that is what are the React fragment used for, okay. So React fragment, so React fragment and used for so React fragment allow you to group the multiple, so React fragment, so what we call the React fragment that allow multiple element without adding the extra node in the DOM, okay. So they are particularly useful when we need multiple element from a component but don't want to wrap them into the container element. So you can utilize a shorthand syntax, that is like close bracket all this thing or the React fragment. So this can be treated, so it can be written like this one. So React fragment, so return, okay. So if we want to like allow a multiple group element without adding the extra node, in that case we use this fragment sign, close, or inside this so inside this fragment we allow multiple groups, okay, that are like child1, okay, uh, child2, okay. So like these are known as React fragment that allow multiple group add without adding the extra DOM. So they are particularly useful when we need to like return multiple elements. So these are the elements and component, but don't want to wrap into the container elements. So we simply wrap inside this syntax. Okay. Then we have to, what is the purpose of key props in the React? So in React, the key prop is used to uniquely identify the element in the list. So like key props is like used to identify a particular element in the list, allowing the React to optimize rendering and updating and reordering the item more efficiently without unique key. So React might re-render the elements unsuccessfully, causing the performance problem and the potential bug. Okay. So what are the consequences of the array indices as the key is React? Okay. So these are the things that we have to understand. One of the most important question, that is what are the props? What are the props in the React? Okay. So we have to answer this question. So like props is short form of the property. So we call this prop. It is known as a property. Okay, properties, and are input to the React element. So props are the input to the React component that allow you to pass data from parent component to the child component. So we know this is the parent component. Okay, component, and this one is the child one, child component. Okay. So if you want to transfer, like pass the data from parent to like child class, in that case prop is used. Okay, prop are the like input for the React component that allow you to pass the data from the parent component to the child component, and they are immutable. So they are immutable. Okay, mutable. Okay, and and they are immutable and are used to configure the component. In contrast, the state is internal to the component and can be changed over time. Okay, so these are like state are internal and we can change over time, typically due to the user interaction or the other events. Okay, you understand? So props stand for the property, which means that input to the React component, or we can say that it allowed that the pass of data from the parent component to child component. Okay, now the thing is that the last question that we are discussing today, that is like, what is the difference between React class component and the function component? So we have to answer these three questions. That is that is we have difference between like difference between a class React class component and the functional functional component. Okay, so let's see. So class component are like class component, all this thing, class like React class components all are the like things that are mm, class component. The class components are like ES6 classes that extend the React component and relies on the lifecycle method. So component mid mount, component did update. Okay, component did mount, component did update, etc. This dot state. So functional component are the like, so when we are talking about the like functional components, that is functional component. So functional component are the plain function that take the props as an input to return the JXS. So it is like a simple function. Okay, simple function. So uh, that that takes props. Okay, that take props as an input. Okay, and return the JSX. Okay, and also use hooks. Okay, that are like use state, use state, use use state, use effect, use ref. Okay, okay. So for the state and the side effect, okay, since hook are landed in the React in version 16.8 function component and the function component are the default for a new code. So class component are kept for the like class component and the function component. This class component and the function component. So class component are kept for the backward compatibility and are no longer the recommended pattern. So like we are using this functional component that are simple function that take the props as an input and return the JXX. So we can I also use the hooks that are use state, use effect, use ref, all this thing. Okay, what should we use? What should we use as a class component over the functional component? So the thing is that, so default to the function component, the class component are the legacy, like earlier the class component legacy, and new API like suspense data fetching that we write like use hook action server component, and the React compiler design for the function component only. So one remaining reason to write the class today is like implementing an error handling boundary, which still requires static get driven state formatter and the like component did catch all this thing. Nowadays we are using like functional component. So one more thing, that what are like React fiber. So the thing that we are React React fiber. So React fiber is a complete rewrite of the React core algorithm. So it's not a like new thing. So like it is like React fiber. Okay, So this, if we call as that, this is a React fiber. So React fiber is a complete rewrite version of the React. Okay. So like yeah. So like React fiber is a complete rewrite of the React core algorithm design. Okay. And improve the performance and enable the new feature like new features that we like needed. So these feature are like async async rendering, okay, error boundaries, okay, error boundaries and the incremental rendering, okay, okay, and process into the like smaller chunks, allowing the React to pause, abort, or prior like it can it can allow the React can use pause, abort, and prioritize like prioritize this thing as a needed. Okay. So React Fiber is a rewrite version of the React which improves the performance by adding the feature like async boundary rendering, error boundaries, incremental rendering. So it allow which break down in smaller pieces or chunk, which give the React feature of pause, abort, and the prioritize feature. All these things. So okay, reconciliation. Reconciliation is a process by which a React update the DOM to match the virtual DOM. So like reconciliation is a process by which we update the DOM to match with the virtual DOM, okay, efficiently. And it involves like, comparing the new virtual DOM tree with the previous one and determining the minimum number of changes required to update the actual DOM. So reconciliation, we understand that it is a process of like matching the virtual DOM with the previous one. We are comparing that what are the minimum number of steps or changes we require to make inside the like in actual DOM, and this process ensures the optimal performance by avoiding unnecessary re-rendering things. Okay, reconciliation things, and that lead to the next question. What is that? What is the difference between shadow DOM and the like virtual DOM? So like it is available or not? DOM not is available. Like what is the difference between this shadow DOM and the so two thing is we have like there's a shadow DOM and this like a virtual DOM. Okay. So the shadow DOM is a wave standard encapsulated part of the DOM and isolating it from the rest of the document. So shadow DOM is like a wave standard, okay, and it is isolated from the document, and it is used for creating the reusable self-contained component without affecting the global state or any script. Okay, whereas the virtual DOM is in-memory representation. So virtual DOM is a in-memory representation of the actual DOM. So it is like virtual DOM is the in-memory representation of the actual DOM, and it is used to optimize the rendering thing, and it compare the current. It's like it compares the current and the previous DOM and the previous state of the UI to like update only the necessary part in the actual DOM to improve the performance. So understand, like Shadow DOM is the web standard encapsulated as a part of DOM, and it is isolated from the rest of the document. It is used to create a reusable or self-contained component without affecting the global style script. Okay, but virtual DOM is like in-memory representation things in which we like like actual DOM is the optimized render like use the optimized rendering in it will in which we compare this DOM actual like current DOM with the previous DOM, and we check what are the need and what we make update in necessary part we have to update in the actual DOM, and which improve the performance. Okay, and the last thing, the things like, okay, we will leave this session till here, and we will learn more things that are like what a difference between control and uncontrolled React component. Okay, so let's see tomorrow.